Hello, stream. Hello. Yeah. Thank you for the follow. Hello, hello. Yeah. You like my new camera angle? You haven't said anything, Dylan. We've been in a call for like 10 minutes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, see, I got a new monitor, and I'm not using a shitty old TV from how many years ago. I'm using two nice monitors, and I'm gonna rotate my desk. So I was like, getting it ready. Soon it'll be like this wall over here with all my stuff, and it'll look good. But for now, you see like into my kitchen and like the back of my living room. Mm-hmm. No, for sure. These are real concerns. Uh,
Slash two links.
let's see. Now, can you hear him? I had my desktop
Yeah.
audio muted, like some kind of moron.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm talking now. Is my voice being heard over the airwaves?
The the
I'm gonna go ahead and keep
Yeah,
talking.
there we go.
Yes.
Cool.
Great. Excellent. Fantastic. Okay. Um, so I'm gonna go back to the joke that I told earlier, which is you
Nice.
said the comment about your webcam, and I said that it's like a haircut and you don't want to comment on it if it is the case.
Mm-hmm.
Um, good question, Pokemon Alpha Dave.
Also, that you
Good
don't want to get
question.
swatted, so just
Oh
no
yeah, and
one
I
do
don't want to
that.
get
Like, chat, be cool. Like, just
yeah. I don't want to. I
don't.
don't want to reveal too much, like where my dog bed is. Okay, so um, we're doing the game jam games,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually said it right that time. I didn't say the jam gam.
Well, now you did.
Yeah.
You
So
failed.
we're gonna do the jam gam games
Sweet.
and jam gam James,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm really excited because these are all awesome, and I'm so stoked now because I got the third jam up. It went on the calendar like 30 seconds after I put it up for no reason at all.
Yeah.
There was no difference between 2 and 3.
Where last time it just didn't for weeks, and
It
we
never did.
posted messages, asked questions, and they
It
just
never,
ignored
it
us.
literally never went up. Game Jam 2 never went on the calendar for no reason. So,
And yet, we got
um,
all these wonderful submissions.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Squishy Puff Dave just like he landed his F-16, as the aircraft carrier started leaving. Like he
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm gonna, he came in like literally 15 minutes before it closed. Um, yeah, there is a game jam called Jam Jam. That's probably why I keep screwing it up. But yeah, so I'm super stoked that Squishy Puff Dave got his in because now he said he's excited for Game Jam 3, and it's gonna
Solid.
be this. It's just the shit. Okay, but anyway,
Yeah.
so let's get started. This is called The Sound of Spring.
Mm-hmm.
This is by Squishy Puff Dave. Squishy Puff Dave, if you want to, I mean, maybe you can link to your thing in the chat. I can't remember what it is, or you can just link it in Discord again. But he works for a really cool like AR company in Australia, I'm assuming. Um, uh, and they do like super cool stuff, really,
Yeah.
really interesting work. So it's like a cool art studio, and this is his game. So I'm gonna run it. It's technically multiplayer, but I figured it would be kind of too hard to stream multiple monitors like that. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna play as one player.
No, that's a good call.
Um, so, The Sound of Spring, A Crumbling Prince Tale. This is a prototype for a game we hope to include with all future bookings of The Crumbling Prince. It requires 2 players. So technically I could like open up another one of these, but I think just to show it. Oh, Toaster Shooter is here. Hell yeah. So he's going to see his game too. Cool. So Squishy Puff's going to share his art studio in chat, so keep an eye out for that. So in this, you choose a character. You can either be Alto, um, spry,
Who made
quick-witted
this
child.
art? Because it is amazing.
Yeah, that's a good question, Dave.
What
Who
the
did make
absolute
that?
hell? How, like, dare you?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really great. So a big cuddly child of the grove. I think I played Tom Tom. Well, I played both because I played a single player version of this multiplayer game. It was really
Hmm.
cool. Where I played with both characters in two separate monitor windows.
Sure. The artwork is my
Uh,
coworkers will tell them they're fucking amazing. Is
yeah.
it question, yeah, is it all digital or are they scans? Because
Hmm.
getting like the digital like brushy watercolor like that is such a cool look.
Yeah.
Scans. Wow.
Oh, dope. I didn't. I was not expecting that. I really thought it was going to
Yeah.
be digital. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
Spring Festival buzzes with nervous anticipation. You make your way through the. We're not going to play through this whole game because it's actually like surprisingly difficult, at least for
Mm-hmm.
my non-puzzle game brain. But
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of has the vibe of a picture book's artwork. Yeah, totally. Well, I think that this actually plays a lot like like you're reading a children's book,
Gotcha.
and which, by the way, think about that market. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So the Spring Festival buzzes with nervous anticipation. You make your way through the bustling crowd with your friend Tom Tom. Children of the grove congregate near the stream, tapping and clicking excitedly, while the elders make preparations in their ceremonial tent. From here, you can see the spring temple high atop the mountain. Below, the cherry blossom grove lies dormant, surrounded by the spirit wood. So, this is where this game has like a central hub,
Mm-hmm.
and you can. And the really cool thing is the exploration is done via this hub. So you go up to the mountain, you go to the stream, you go to the tent of the elders, and you
Mm-hmm.
can come back. And so that was something I really liked. It definitely made it feel game.
Yeah.
Um, but so we'll go to the mountain. Um, the whispering wind blows an icy chill across the mountain's crooked shapes. I don't know why I'm not getting sound. It's weird. There's a nice little tune playing. It's not like required, but
It's weird. It looks like it's muted in your tab.
yeah, and I can't unmute it.
I've literally never seen that icon before.
Oh, there we go.
Weird. Okay, cool.
Maybe I can turn down Chrome a little bit though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the
That's
whispering wind
nice.
blows
That's
in.
nice background music.
Yeah, right. An icy chill across the mountain's crooked shapes. High up on the mountaintop, the spring temple lies dormant. Past the temple, a small path leads to a rocky cliff. So we can go to the temple, approach the rocky cliff, go back to the festival, right? And this is kind of that hub thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that also makes it feel like an actual connected world when you
Yeah.
can only go to a place via another place. Like it's physical,
Yeah, right.
spatial.
Mm-hmm. So we'll just approach the rocky cliff.
Yeah. Take us through the most interesting path that you can think of.
Yeah. Reminds me of Castle in the Sky. I'm not familiar with that, but
Yeah.
I believe you. The mysterious figure sits cross-legged on the hard earth, her white robes flapping in the breeze. This was something I thought was really cool. So I wasn't sure what tap to the mysterious, because whenever you talk to somebody, it says tap to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I really, really liked after I kind of got Ghibli. That was something I really, really, really liked after I started playing it because it's that thing that Pinckney talks about. I wish I could remember the term for it. It's like I guess it's kind of verisimilitude because
Mm-hmm.
the characters know what the characters are doing, right? Like they're in their own world.
It's all
and so
grounded. Your
Yeah.
like behaviors, your physical, your like in your novel, like the language, the cyberpunk
Mhm.
language and the terms and the slang, it's all grounded and you're just along for the ride. It's like totally
Yeah, right.
immersive.
Yeah, the characters know the world that they live in, right? And so you're willing to buy certain actions that don't jive with the world that you're familiar with.
Right.
So tap was jarring at first, but it's one of those. It's like an uninventable detail, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So tap to the mysterious figure. The figure exhales slowly, a deep wavering note rising from her chest. Good prose. The whispering wind is restless today. How do you know the wind is restless? Who are you? I'll let you get back to your business.
Let's go with the first one.
Okay. I have mastered the art of listening, she says simply. Is there anything you would like to ask her?
Number 2.
I have a question for the whispering wind.
Ooh. Tell me about.
Tell me about.
Oh. Tell me about the direction the wind blows.
She has no
Sure,
strong
yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
It's like when the Magic 8 Ball says like ask me then.
Yeah.
Um,
No, but that's
so
a good test that it's focused. It's a
Yeah.
text adventure. It's not just an AI.
like a text parser. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this was something that I thought, let's try.
Yeah, sure.
Damn. So one of the things that was really, really cool though was, so I'm going to let her get back to her business and then I'm going to leave the cliff. And then I'm going to go back to the festival.
So is it gonna be sort of like a puzzle game, a little bit like crap. What's the game I'm thinking? The FMV game where you're watching the interview tapes from the criminal case. Her Story.
Her Story, yeah.
Yeah.
Great game.
Where like you have the database, you can search anything and you can like brute force it if you want, but you're trying to find and you're doing some detective work where it's a little bit of a puzzle where you're trying to find those keywords.
Yeah, I think that's a good comp. I think that's a good comp for this game is like because as you explore more like the Cherry Blossom Grove and the Tent of the Elders, you run into puzzles basically. And you're like, oh, I don't know what to do here, right? And that's actually why this is a multiplayer game, because there are certain puzzles that you can get into that you can't get back out of. And so the other player can then go and like ask the wind for help on the puzzle that you're in.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
so Toaster Strudel
so unique.
It's brilliant. I thought it was awesome. But I'm going to read this real quick. So that is something this game does incredibly well. It has some concepts of its own that manages to convey purely through them being used. Yeah, right. It never has to outright explain its ideas. You can just get it from context. Definitely. Yeah. I thought that was like this game's strongest selling point for me. Yeah. Was the idea of like, okay, well, clearly I'm being presented with a puzzle.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm going to go to the Tent of the Elders. You pull aside the flap of the tent to find Tempo standing guard. Not so fast, Alto. You know you're not allowed in here. We still haven't forgotten about the blueberry incident. Children of the Grove congregate near the stream, tapping and clicking excitedly while the elders make preparations in their ceremonial tent. From here you can see, the places. So let's approach the stream. A child of the grove quietly stacks pebbles in the shade. A tent sits beside the stream. Inside, you can hear acrobats rehearsing a show. Nestled in the branches of a slender maple tree, Largo sits in his treehouse, tapping a sorrowful rhythm. So tapping, right? It's like this multimodal verb.
Yeah.
That this society uses. Saw this game kind of like a point-and-click adventure game, just in text-reliant form. You go to one place to solve some puzzle, then you get a reward that helps you solve another. Of course, it's split among two characters. Yeah, right. And that's one of the divergent paths. The other character actually can go in that tent. Yes. Yep. It's very similar to an escape room. Yeah. So let's climb up to the tree house. Largo has been hoarding all sorts of fruit, nuts, and berries. He looks up from a pile of walnuts in size. What troubles you, Largo? Oh, Alto, my lucky acorn has been stolen. Who could have done such a terrible thing? Would you like me to help you find it?
I love how low stakes it is.
Yeah, right. It's like I lost my acorn. Well, I think that lends itself back to the idea that this is like a really great children's book.
It is, and just like how picturesque Valley with the soundscape. It's very, very peaceful.
Yeah, right. Well, and the stakes I think are appropriate for children.
And the blueberry incident, like that's perfect.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the blueberry incident. Yeah, it's like what the hell is that? Yes, that would be wonderful. I bet it was one of those pesky acrobats. If you want to get into the tent, the password is Cesaro. Got it. I'll let you get back to your sorrows. So enter the acrobat's tent. Oh shit! What was the password?
SASARA.
Very well. You may enter.
Oh, that's cool.
Dude, the art is so good.
I like the beard and the hair bun, and they look like they're little like wooden dolls, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Squishy Buff Dave says the low stakes are really intentional. This is the Shire before everything goes to shit. It's designed as a prologue to the escape room, which gets into dark fantasy territory. That's really cool.
Yeah, which is
I
also dark fantasy is perfect territory for kids.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah.
if they
Well, I
don't
think.
become slightly traumatized, you're not doing a good enough
Well,
job.
I mean, just think about it like this. So, like J.R.R. Tolkien, right?
Yeah,
He writes The Hobbit for his like 8-year-old children,
yeah.
and then when they become teenagers, he's like, okay, I got to write Lord of the Rings for them because they're a little bit older now, and The Hobbit's too stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
For these super grown up teenagers,
Yeah.
right? So that's just what it is. Like, package this and and sell it as a children's interactive narrative book, right?
And by the
Because
time
imagine,
another couple years go by and you develop the next one, they'll be
yeah,
ready
right.
for it.
Well, I think genuinely, like, if you could figure out how to sell this as a package, you could sell it as a children's book, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I had a kid, this is what I would want to do with them on the evening. Like, if they could
Yeah.
play it on their iPad and I could play it on a laptop,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, $10 or
Hold
something.
on.
Like, children's books are
Once.
expensive as hell. Oh, yeah, you're good. Aaliyah and Tori are practicing their show. Several children of the Grove are already here watching. Aaliyah balances on a vine while Tori juggles. Um, Yeah, great idea. You totally could. Yeah. I know, right? It would just be like it's perfect. It's perfectly designed, I think, as a children's book. Now, it can be part of the larger narrative. There's no reason why it can't if you sell it as a children's book. You could just as easily link it back into the larger narrative. Um, and then, when those kids are 12, they can they can go right into the dark fantasy world. So
And
we're
it's
going
the
to
sort
carry.
of thing where you can make a larger world and you can write stories for different age groups. You
Yeah,
know, at
right.
least in like America with like the Scholastic Company or something, I remember as a kid, it would have different age demographics.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Have you seen Largo's Lucky Acorn, you ask? She shrugs. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. Well,
Well, there we go.
as it turns out, we can leave this tent, then we can leave the stream, then we can go up to the mountain, then
Mm-hmm.
we can go to the rocky cliff, then we can tap to the mysterious figure, then we can say, I have a question, then we can
Where
say,
can I find the acorn?
yeah. She sees a trail of handprints across the forest floor, a tail wrapped around a tree branch.
Got it. So some kind of little animal in the forest. Got it.
Yep. Um, which is really cool, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not like explicit. It's a
gives you
solid
direction.
hint. You need to
Mm-hmm.
like do work though. So now I'm gonna be watching right for a picture, even more so than text, a picture of a forest and some kind of
Mm-hmm.
animals or something.
Well, there is the cherry blossom
Mm-hmm.
grove.
There you go.
Um, to the buds of cherry blossom trees which stand neatly in a row. Tycho is here stomping her feet. Tap to Tycho, go further into the spirit wood.
Let's go further in.
Okay, walking right past Tycho. The sunlight is eclipsed by the thick canopy of the spirit wood. Thorny plants weave around your feet. In the
Ah,
shade, you
there we
can
go.
just make out the entrance to some kind of burrow. You also see a set of handprints leading to a large hollow oak tree.
Climb inside the tree.
Absolutely. Inside the tree stands a very agitated monkey. Largo's lucky acorn sits at his feet.
Let's try to communicate. Let's not just grab
Okay.
it.
The monkey stares at you impassively. I bet there's another answer to this somewhere else in the game.
Can we go back to the person we passed because they were stomping, and I want the
Oh,
context of what stomping is now.
okay. So return
Return
to
to
the
the grove.
grove. Tap to Tycho. I love the little. Why won't you bloom?
So stomping seems like frustration.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to the tree.
Okay. Climb inside the tree.
Tap to the monkey.
The base of an oak tree usually means death, says Pokemon Alpha Dave. So we will tap to the monkey.
So not stomping.
Let's do a soft tap. Let's be
Yeah,
kind.
yeah.
He doesn't give a shit.
Try
Let's
clicking
let's
before
try
hard
clicking.
tap.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit about any of those things. That's usually what I start doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so clearly there's something that we don't. Let's reach for it. Ouch.
Okay, so there's something we don't have.
Yeah, there's something
It's a
we
dead
are
end.
not sure of yet.
Yeah.
We probably need like some type of other item to exchange.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Yeah.
So we could enter the burrow. We can go even deeper. Retrace your steps. Okay, so now we're back here. And I don't know if that actually ends up going anywhere, but I really like the idea of dead ends. And dead ends in a text-based game is a very interesting thing to me. You need Tom Tom's help for the monkey puzzle.
How many entries are we looking to do today?
3. So we probably do have to move on.
Yeah, we're at 423. We should jump to the next one.
Yeah, we should probably jump to the next one.
But this is awesome though. Like,
yeah. And there was something I wanted to talk a little bit more about, and so we'll talk about this and then we'll move on to the next one. But yeah. So one of the things that I thought was really interesting, and I talked to Squishy Puff Dave about this in the Discord, as well as I think I left a comment on it, is that I thought it was really interesting how this game was multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
That it's literally you can't complete the game unless you play it with one person being Alto, the other person being Tom Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that Toaster Strudel and Thulanx or Mischief or whatever, I guess the new name is New Thoughts, is the thing that I found really interesting was they played it together. So I tried to play by myself with two open monitors, right? And I actually had a blast doing it like that. Oh, I see. But I actually had a blast doing it like that. It was super fun.
Yeah.
And so that led me to think, what more could you do with the idea of a multiplayer game that is played single player, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just more perspectives, more juggling of a single space that can allow you to explore a single space more completely.
Yeah. Well, and you can also do really interesting things from a protagonist perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like the main character in my book, Boot, he has a drone that he controls it's semi-sentient, but like Boot is regularly utilizing Alkion to gather information, right? He's usually sending Alkion around the city to gather information about what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that was kind of what I was doing. Like I was at a place where I thought I was supposed to be with one open page, and then I was like yelling to my friend at the top of the mountain, like, ask him the question about Alto's or about Largo's acorn, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that was a really interesting idea because I had so much fun doing it like that. But yeah, I wanted to gauge your opinion on that.
Well, no, I mean, it's cool. I can think of one or two other games that are multiplayer focused, so where it's like a critical part of the game design. None of them are story focused like this. And, if we kind of go back to this is a great model to make a game for kids, it can be a great thing to, as a selling point, to have a parent and a kid do together. If you have tougher even language or puzzles, that is like in and of itself a huge marketing point that I see like an entire franchise being built on.
Yeah.
It's cool though.
Yeah. Toaster Strudel says, I imagine one way that could manifest would be as a game where you where your control swaps from one character to the other. But I do think that this game really benefits from Yes, I agree. I totally agree that one of the major themes of this work is teamwork, right?
Yeah.
Is working together, being kind, and that fits very well. But that was just one of the things that kind of stood out to my like, oh, well, how could we twist that? How could we bend that idea and explore that weirdness, right? As you'll see when we do interrogation program.
Yeah, no, and that's such a great way to focus on your theme. That's wonderful. Yeah, A Way Out was one I was thinking of, but even so, this is like such a different pace. Yeah, and like the prose here is cool, and the atmosphere is this this kind of soft fantasy, at least at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And A Way Out has its own disappointments that we don't need to get into here. I think this is, as far as mechanically, from what I'm seeing, this is better than A Way Out.
Mm-hmm.
So take that for what you will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the puzzles are definitely super interesting, and
Mm-hmm.
and like we didn't even really get to all of them. We didn't even go
No.
into the temple, and
Yeah.
try and figure out that one. But yeah, I was just super impressed. I'm kind of amazed that this game isn't on sale, to be honest. I
Yeah.
think it could totally be on sale.
I would say the thing I would want to see before it goes on sale is maybe a little more art, and
Mm-hmm.
in certain sections a little more prose to kind of fill out the world.
Yeah.
The action, like, it's really edited down here, in a pretty good way overall, but there's spots where I would like another line or two to fill out the world
Of like description
of
of
description. Yeah, I think so.
yeah,
Of like auditory, visual, scent, things like that, sensory
yeah.
information, and more art. Please, more
Right.
art.
The art is just awesome. So,
And it does a
uh,
lot of that sensory work too.
yeah. And so Toaster also says, and one more thing, the audio is delicious.
Hmm.
Yes. The audio was amazing. It is amazing in this game. I loved it. All right.
Let's
So with
hop over
that,
to. Ugh.
interrogation program. Okay. So 2036. You can hear this, right? Or there is no audio in this game, but you
Okay.
can see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, more art is on the way and a 4-player version.
Ooh.
Holy shit.
No, that's
Uh,
awesome.
And in response to Pokemon Alpha Dave, the multiplayer is kind of just however you do it, because it's just you each start a game and you just go. And it's not like you say like start multiplayer. It's just like, I'm going to be Alto. You go ahead and open up the game and you choose TomTom, right? Um, daily interview. You are operating a model PI 3080 remote control interrogation unit designed for safe, unencumbered interrogation of criminals and felons. Let's see. Additional notes. Clark Patterson, age 37, has been found guilty in court of the murder of Sir Marcus Wilmore, whose demise was reported 3 weeks ago within the Wilmore Manor during a party meant to commemorate his recent successful ventures overseas with his company Cinco. You are being tasked to interrogate Mr. Patterson to determine his motives so we can report to higher ups, news stations, and Mr. Wilmore's extended family and coworkers. The suspect is in the room awaiting interrogation. You may begin questioning when you are ready.
Okay. So he's been found guilty,
Yeah.
but that my first like alarm going off in my head is, right, just because you're found guilty does not mean you necessarily are.
Yeah. Especially in the realm of fiction, right?
Right, yeah.
So
And
murder,
also
manslaughter.
murder at a party, that triggers an Agatha Christie, like, let's get into some revelations, some mystery, some.
Right. So the first few messages have been pre-written to start the conversation for you. Once these introductory messages have been delivered and the suspects or answers received, you may choose your own statements and commence interrogation. So, welcome to the police station. You have been found guilty. Welcome to the police station. You have been found guilty of the murder of Marcus Wilmore and have been brought here for questioning. Our detective will ask you questions about your reasoning and method behind your actions. Please respond to this message with a neural statement. Neutral, not neural. Neutral statement, although I like the idea of a neural statement. Neutral statement in order to show that you are capable of receiving our communications and of responding to them in kind. What are you? Where's the detective? I haven't seen a real person in almost a week. This is ridiculous. I want to speak to a real human being, not some impassionate machine. Judging from body motions and the volume of voice, the suspect is unruly and will not easily cooperate. It is advised that you choose your responses carefully. Please refrain from any aggressive behavior or response. Disassociation with social etiquette is poor interrogation practice and may cause for a more severe prison sentence. I've been encased in a concrete shell for a week. Hell, maybe longer. And I'm going to have to put up with it for another several years. And I can't even get the comfort of holding a conversation with real people. Ugh. Fine. I guess I can hear your messages and I can respond in kind. Thank you for cooperation. Continue with this more neutral behavior and we will be able to finish the interrogation more efficiently. Now, please respond to our questions. So I've already played this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and let you pick.
So, okay, couple things I'm noticing from the encounter so far. He seems upset, but not aggravated with his situation. Where if
Hmm.
I was in that situation, right, I would be very aggravated. My
Yeah, right.
biggest right complaint, especially if you're trapped, right, is just kind of bashing, rallying against that. So he seems pretty calm, which is a little odd. So I'm trying to like build these details. Um, relationship to the victim.
Upset is accurate. Relationship to the victim, you said?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. How would you describe your relationship with the victim up to the moment you killed him? Relationship? I doubt that Mollusk would know what a relationship was if it was right in front of him. His head was in the goddamn clouds 24/7. It's amazing he invested so much money into the businesses in a town that he couldn't bother looking at.
Hmm.
The suspect clearly lost track of the conversation and refused to fully answer the question and process. Continuing to investigate this relationship has been described so poorly, would be advisable.
See, I like that though, because now the character has his own deal. He's
Yeah.
focused on what he's interested in. I want to continue to ask about the relationship.
Okay.
The game's pushing me away from it. I want to.
Your relationship with Mr. Wilmore has yet to be fully described. Please continue describing how you knew him in detail. He was someone who I didn't like the methods of. What else can I say? I've told you everything about it I can. He still refuses to cooperate. Continue with the questioning. He cannot withhold his true beliefs forever.
For sure.
Your answers are inadequate. Please give us more information. I've told it all. I don't know what else there is to say. What am I missing here? Your answers are inadequate. Please give us more information. I don't have answers. I don't have info. I don't have agency. I don't have anything here. We're not answering your questions. Cooperation is key to a successful interrogation. If you continue this behavior, you will be punished. I don't want to talk anymore. You are being uncooperative. Please cease this behavior. Please, just let me rot in prison. Just make it stop. Please continue questioning. The interrogation has been cut short. With the presence of an uncooperative suspect and hardly any information gleaned, the commissioner has decided to terminate this interaction for the moment. Subject Patterson will be detained in this facility where he will continue to be questioned until we have been given an adequate report of the events of the murder of Mr. Wilmore. Please log off the remote control interrogation unit and clock out for the night. You will be notified via webmail when the next interrogation is scheduled.
So
I like the copyright.
I do too. So the failure state is if the management essentially right determines that you are not being effective.
Yeah.
Huh. That's really different than any other sort of like crime or courtroom story I can think of.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
they don't care about getting the story, they don't care about getting the truth. They care about cooperation,
Yeah, that's all
the
I give a shit
aesthetic
about.
of it,
Yeah.
which is such a like a modern corporate problem. That's so
Yeah.
good.
I thought it was really interesting when I played it because like it stands out. You sit down and you're like, oh, okay, it's a crime story, it's a detective story. I got to figure out there's going to be a twist, kind of like what you said at the beginning. And I very deliberately didn't say anything about that. But it's interesting because when you sit down, it's like we don't really give a shit. He
Yeah.
did it. He's already been convicted. All
Yeah.
we're trying to do is find out more information about it.
Yeah.
And so then you start to feel like the bad guy, which is weird.
Yeah.
So we're gonna restart.
No, that's very true. I immediately did not like my position, and
Yeah.
it could be a good chance for world building if he accepts his conviction, whether or not he thinks he's guilty. Right? When you speak to somebody who's been in prison for a crime, whether or not they committed it, they'll usually hold to the story that they're innocent. But in this
Right.
reality, right, that might not matter. All that matters is the conviction, and you're stuck, and you're stuck.
Right.
So having him represent that perspective could be a good opportunity for more world building, that he's resolute. Right. He's not even willing to argue with it.
Yeah, right. Toaster Shooter says, I initially did have him be a little more vulgar in that introductory bit to help convey his frustration. However, I felt that might be a little inappropriate for the jam. A little. Yeah, I could see that. And then the next one down, I wanted to take a different angle to the idea of a detective story. I wondered what would happen if you already knew the verdict and just needed the details.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that this is a really good way of going about it, right? Like creating this impersonal like barrier between the protagonist, which is you,
Mm-hmm.
and the antagonist, presumably, which is the murderer. Um,
The design serves the narrative and the theme. Like,
yeah, right. Um, so you can click here to begin, and this is going to eventually lead to something I want to talk about with this game. But so
yeah,
presumably, I mean, like clicking the restart button, we physically restarted like the files of the game, right?
yeah, I
Um,
believe so.
but the narrative is written in such a way that it kind of doesn't matter. Like it wouldn't be that weird if we were to ask her about the relationship to the victim again.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I want to go with number 4 though. That seems like the next
okay.
logical question.
Ask about the reason for timing it during a highly populated party. Um, the most perplexing element was when you performed them. Mr. Wilmore's party had thousands of people, including close relatives, blah, blah, blah. It's not like I wanted to attack him in full view of every single one of his business assets. I just wanted to attack him, and that's where I knew he was. Guy sounds like Robert Durst, kind of. It's weird. If I had planned this whole thing out, I probably wouldn't be here. I'm no formal hitman. I just had a conviction to put an end to Wilmore's escapades.
Hmm.
Um, it's lacking in information. He could not have simply decided to strike on impulse. Further questioning to parse more details is advised. Ask about further details of the attack.
Yeah.
Choice of murder weapon.
Yeah.
Details?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm assuming this is probably an option.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Your response is a good start, but we would like to know more about why. What if there were other motivators? Why would I not mention them? I've told you everything there is to it. I decided to attack during the party because it was a point in time where I knew he was, and what he was doing. What else could I add to that?
Mm-hmm.
So now we've gone into our failure state, right?
Yeah.
Give us further details. Your answers have been vague. I don't know what you want from me. I'm not some trained professional. I'm lucky to have even made it in. How much do you think there was to it? I can't tell you anything else. Just continue questioning. Your answers are inadequate. Your answers are inadequate. So now we have officially ended the we have ended the game again. So we can restart. So this was the thing that stood out to me, and this is what I talked to Toaster Strudel about a bit. My impression was that it's unclear if the guy is actually guilty. Is that true? I figured he was.
I was
absolutely
on
guilty
board with
of the murder.
that until the last path, where he was just like, "Yeah, I did it. Like, I picked
Yeah,
a
he's
time
like,
and
I did it.
It was like no uncertainty until then. Based on the first path, I thought there was uncertainty, but then he was totally cool with it.
Yeah. Toolings says, I thought there was a good chance that the interrogating system grinded the guilty verdict out of him. I suppose that's possible, but it seemed to me, at least like the implication of the narrative was that he's been convicted for a while. Like he's been in, because he says he's been in prison for like 2 weeks or something, and now they're just bringing the bot in to like interrogate him.
And see, I think the interesting, like, if we were to recommend pushing this in a harder sci-fi direction, I think the interesting thing would be, okay, so he was convicted and then they get the confession out of him, right?
Yeah.
They're interrogating him after the fact. Interrogating is one of the first steps in a criminal investigation after you find a suspect. You know, that happens way before anyone's in court. But they're interrogating him after he's had a guilty conviction and he's just been waiting in a cell. That, like, raises so many questions about what this society is like.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I do wonder, now that we're talking about it a little bit more, it does seem very interesting if he actually isn't guilty. Like, if he's just, like, beaten down to the point where he's like, I did it. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say, because I didn't actually do it, but I did it.
And even there's, like, some, like, literal Orwellian doublethink going on there. If he's admitting he did it because he was found guilty, right? And so that's what that truth is, regardless of what happened.
Right. Yeah. But so to talk about the mechanic, because unfortunately I think we're gonna have to move on a little bit to Two Links' game, and then maybe we can talk about it all as a whole. Because I do want to talk about these more because I actually thought they were all so interesting.
I mean, we've got
Um,
20 minutes, and I don't have anywhere to be right after the stream, so we can stick
yeah,
around and chat for a little bit more.
yeah. So the mechanic that I thought was most interesting in this, and I would really like to see taken advantage of, is the idea of the restart mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Because this game, I found myself restarting far more often than any normal game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you get to the fail state pretty quick. It's like you do like 3 clicks in the wrong direction, or maybe even 2,
Mm-hmm.
and you've gone to the fail state.
Mm-hmm.
A fail state which you cannot come back from. Um, and so I really like this idea of utilizing the restart mechanic more often because of the way it's written. It's really strangely disassociated, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem like the guy is even that aware of what's happening. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
even seem like he's really that aware of what the interrogation bot is. He doesn't seem very aware of like of any of that. And so the restart mechanic I thought could be really cool, where the more you restart, the different options you start to get, right? So
Like that kind of go along with like almost mental degradation.
yeah, right, totally. Because I feel like that's what this game is almost about. It's like asking for these details over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy just can't seem to tell you anything about any of them.
Yeah, I
Oh
see
shit,
that
we got some
spam
people we
bot
got to ban.
came. Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know how to ban.
I've got it here.
Okay, cool, thank you. So let's see. I'm going to read Toasters real quick. My personal idea for it, had I developed the introductory context some more, was that the real purpose of the interrogation was more for press and record of the events. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's a totally valid direction to take it. I don't think it has to be the case that he turned out to be innocent.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning the restart thing, and I think it's a great idea. Disassociation is something I was going for, absolutely. However, I was also really going for that on the side of the player. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I feel very disassociated when I'm playing it, 100%. Like, not a doubt in my mind. Which is I think it's a very interesting thing to play with.
Yeah.
A very interesting concept to play with, right? Is this disassociation from the crime, disassociation from the subject. I mean, it's just all very impersonal and steely.
Just
Everything about the game is like that.
aesthetically, thematically, that's just summoning an idea of what was it, Papers, Please, of how it plays with that like kind of job role and the impersonability of it, and where you can find interesting drama in that sort of adjacent situation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've ever played We Happy Few, but like in the beginning of that game, when you're kind of going through the like redactor,
Yeah.
that redactor section, that's a very interesting. I think it captures a similar essence,
Yeah.
Squishy Buff Dave says, reminds me of all those horrible call center jobs I've done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the fact that once your interrogation is done, you're not there to work for a number of hours. You're not there to work through a quota. You're there to show up and do this interrogation. When it's done, you clock out for the whole night and you're done.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that in and of itself is interesting.
And nothing ever feels like it's your fault. You know what I mean? It's always like he's being uncooperative. Fuck him. It's like it's always this like really.
And it's like this
dude is
endless cycle where, all right, he's being uncooperative. We're just gonna put him back in his holder like he's not like a person, and we'll come back to him later. I guess maybe he'll just be cool later. No reason as to why or how. No thinking that maybe he'll be in a worse condition. Just we'll get back to it later.
Yeah,
put him
we'll
back at
we'll
the
come
bottom
back
of the
to it.
rotation.
Yeah. Pokemon Alpha Dave says, I may be showing my insane nerdiness here, but this sounds like something from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I'm assuming that's what that means. With the Cardassians. Wow, that sounds like Kardashians. That's crazy. They never sentence anyone who isn't already guilty. They say that the point of the story is not being if the character is guilty, but why. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot here. Oh, sorry.
All kinds of shit from that. No, you're good.
But this like core concept is so interesting, and like it's a cool game but there are so many interesting directions that it can split off into. They have me more excited than what's here. Like, this is
Right.
such a good start, though. That's what that tells me, that this is a great base and it needs to continue. Like, it has to be continued to develop.
Yeah, right. I would agree. I think it's a good enough narrative that you can go with it,
Hmm.
especially if you can do because once again this also feels a little bit like Her Story,
Yeah.
um, but a little bit less detective work and a little bit more I don't know like meta ethical
Yeah.
like oh god 1984 Orwellian shit. Also, I wanted to go back and just quickly state about Squishy Puff Days game. I did not mean for it to be like a derogatory to say that it's like a children's story. Just so you know, like I actually think
Oh, yeah,
children's
that's
stories
a
are
fair,
brilliant,
fair
and
point.
I wish I could write them because you can make so much money writing children's stories. Just wanted to get that out of the way.
And
I
like
don't
on a
mean to diminish the art
literal
or
like
anything.
density level, they're just like shorter. Like,
Hmm.
you can create more. I mean, I'm sure
Well, and you can
ultimately
also
they're,
just do really cool things with children's stories that you
yeah.
normally can't do because all the adults, will push their glasses up and look down their nose and go,
Yeah.
"How dare you lecture to me about morality? I'd rather be tricked into doing moral things." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas kids are just like, "Hell yeah!" Like I love that. Um, so let's see. Most compelling narrative was interrogation program. I mean, there was only three, but
Hmm.
um, all of our games took a first place prize in one category. Let's just put it at
Yeah.
that.
You can all put that on your CV.
Dude, children's stories are the raddest shit. I think they are brilliant, and I wish I could write them. I wish I was better at it because I would totally write them.
Well,
All
I
right, so now let's
still
do.
consume like how much media that's aimed at a under 18 audience, and it's fantastic.
Hmm. Yeah, everybody's a winner in the Neophyte Jam. Now let's play Aku.
What a beautiful little transition opening thing.
Yeah, no, I really like that too.
Ooh.
This is the new mechanic. I love
Yeah,
it.
those little like
Gravity wells is what I've been calling them.
yeah, they kind of remind me a little bit of Mario Galaxy.
Yep.
Okay, no fall damage. That's always important.
Hey Vaughn, I'm back. Welcome back. You lit the shrine candles, right? Yeah, exactly like how you usually do.
I'm completely invested.
Good job. I was worried you might forget. Will the ceremony be the same? This is the same guy who did the dream game, right? The guy who's trying to find some sleep. I
Yeah.
mean, this is literally the protagonist from the first jam, like this penguin guy.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that it has tagged story progression.
yeah, right.
That one's the optional dialogue, one will kick you ahead.
Yeah, I finished all the prep for the ceremony. I still need to let Croydon know Salgium is starting. Once again, this is that verisimilitude thing I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
where the characters just talk about the shit. There's no explanation. It's like
Yeah.
the Salgium is starting. It's like we don't need to have it explained, right? We just need to know that the characters know. Um, Not so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you even know where to go?
Well, of course not if you haven't been there.
I'll just follow this path to the right.
I think that'll be a
No.
fun answer. Okay, cool.
It's to the right. Be careful though. The plants are quite dangerous.
I like the text bubbles.
Yeah.
The way they expand from the center makes
Yeah.
reading even text that can go on for a good chunk of time really readable. So those flowers, those are some bad flowers.
Yeah. And you can pick up these kind of like fancy tickets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically the text from A Short Hike. Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I think you mentioned that A Short Hike was pretty inspirational to this.
And what is
Or
a
at
short
least
hike? I'm not familiar.
Oh, it's one sec, I gotta turn this down.
Yeah.
It's super duper loud. A Short Hike is kind of an indie darling game that came out.
Sure.
I can't remember, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Um, oops. I had never considered that the expanding bubbles helped with readability. Yeah, totally.
No, it really, really does. For long lines, for short lines.
Yeah.
And it's like it's even better than like Banjo Kazooie or something where like the text you have the bubble and then the text just like fills the bubble. That can feel kind of like a drag.
Yeah. The hell are you? Hello there. Hi. Are you Master Vaughn's apprentice? This is something I actually thought was really cool. Like, there's just people you can talk to. Like, I don't remember seeing that in a platformer.
Yeah, it's a populated world.
Where are my
Except
manners?
it's a platform world.
Yeah. I run the cemetery to the right of Croydon.
What a nice name for a cemetery worker.
Yeah.
Master
I'm
Vaughn
okay.
saved me from a mining incident.
Yeah. Vaughn mentions you a lot. Did he know? Or mention you a lot?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad he has company over at the shrine. Pingney would love this story. I can tell you that. I know for a fact, like beyond a shadow of a doubt in my mind, Pingney would love this story.
Yeah.
He would have loved them all, but this is just like right up Pingney's alley. He's the trap guy from the last game. That's true. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I remember.
Maybe next time. Sure, next time. I'll get out of your hair then. Go ahead.
Like the story moves and they say things that are interesting, and that's literally all you can ask for.
Yeah, right.
Little house.
Welcome. Hi. I'm Ao, the village chief. I'm Aku. You must be the priest's apprentice. Master wants you to know that Sal game is starting. Great. I'll let everyone else know. Are you going to stay here for long, Aku? Yes. Then you should join me for dinner.
Okay.
I can't bother you like that. Please. I insist.
Is anyone commenting on the fact that he has a giant eye for a head?
I don't know, but it made me really like him.
Yeah.
Count me in. Anyway, I've opened a path back to the shrine. In case you need to return.
Sure.
Is there something else I can get you? Can you tell me more about Croydon? I'm familiar. You look troubled. It's just something personal.
Yeah, Pokemon. Characters are all self-motivated. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, self-motivated, yes. Well, because like all you have to do is essentially establish a motivation for a character, and then you just let them loose against the other characters, and
keep
those motivations
focused.
will flash.
Yeah, right. They have to.
Yeah, they just have to. I mean, because they just will. Like it's just it's like gravity. You know what I mean? Like if you make characters who are self-motivated, they will just clash with the other characters.
As long as you're consistent with it.
Why haven't you guys talked? He's a bit of a shut-in. So he's talking about his brother. It's hard to tell what he's thinking. Maybe being in Croydon isn't good for him. Anyway. Is there something else I can get you? I don't know why, but I really like the anyways. No, I'm good. Okay.
It just gives everything this kind of like... vibe to it.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, so let's come in here. So here's his brother.
I like his skull, his skull face. Everything's like almost creepy.
Yeah, right.
But it's a little bit really cute. Like this giant eye man, screams merchandise.
Yeah, right. I would totally.
And with a simple single syllable name too.
Yeah.
And all these little dudes.
You're Vaughn's kid. I'm Sven. You know Vaughn?
Yeah, lethargic. Thank you. That's the word I was thinking of.
That's to tell the villagers about Salgium. Eh, I wouldn't know what that is. But he seems like a nice guy.
And like it creates humor too.
Yeah.
It's
I'm sure you
good.
have stuff to do. Please leave me alone. I love the characters in this game so much. They're so funny and cool.
This the transition with those the rectangle wipe is really good.
Yeah. And so then we come out here and we can see the
There's a
graves, right?
graveyard,
But we
yeah.
can't get out there.
What happens if you jump and you fall?
You
in the
just
pit?
died.
Okay. Where does
You
it
just die
spawn
and
you?
respawn. Yeah, in the town.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So now we go back. There's one part I want to get to. Oh, we fell.
Well, he said he opened a path back.
Yeah, and this is that path.
Platforming
No!
is more
I thought I
challenging.
was- We
It's
shall knit all the marketable plushies.
I like the using these like gravity wells in connection with each other and having to
Oh,
like
dude, it's
fall
so
through
good.
one and set up your angle before hopping to the next one.
Yeah, I'm just kind of skipping the extra stuff because I'm trying to get back
Yeah,
as
yeah.
quick as I can.
But again,
So-
the idea that I'll just talk more about it, that you're using your fall and not just your jump like a lot of other
Right.
platformers.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like, so for example, if I jump up here,
Mm-hmm.
like the gravity well just throws you to the other side depending on where you come in relation
Exactly.
to
Yeah,
it,
it's,
right?
it sends you in a straight line, which is awesome. Because so yeah, you're targeting that. You need to look ahead.
Ah,
Yeah, and see, you go too early. You have to use your fall. It's a really nice. It's a
No.
really nice
no.
mechanic.
Damn it. This section took me forever.
Yeah, I know they're. Oh yeah, Pokemon Dave. Yeah, if they're pixel art. So if you want to make like a 3D pixel,
Oh shit.
and this like the toughness seems really fair. The fact that
Yeah.
the like exploding flowers are going on a cycle that you can watch. Like you
Yeah.
can take your time. You can plan
Uh-oh.
something.
You paying attention, Matt? You ready for this?
I'm ready. Sparkly. Yeah. Yeah. His eye having like changing emotions. Like I think it was a heart earlier too. It's very endearing. When his pupil changes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like they just literally refer to it as the right or the left, assumingly.
Yeah, right. But Vaughn's dead.
Yeah. No,
This
that.
actually bummed me the fuck out when I played it.
Yeah.
I was actually bummed. It was crazy. And I think this serves well to I think this game might have won the best detective story because our
Mhm.
theme, remember, was detective story, right?
Oh my God! Right.
Yeah, which is
Right,
why
right,
we
right,
had
right, right.
interrogation program. And,
Yeah.
Um,
But this,
And it
okay,
helps-
so
yeah.
as far as a narrative is concerned, right, this has a really good version of the world before the conflict, before the inciting incident, right? And so you're seeing everything, you come into a new place that you're unfamiliar with. What you're familiar
Right.
with gets ruined, and now you need to turn to the new place, assumedly, to gather more information.
right. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Your first
Um,
time crossing out had consequences.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but after that, after you discover that Vaughn's been murdered, right,
Mhm.
you get this new ability. And I took this to be kind of an objective correlative for like the state of Aku, right?
Yeah.
Where Aku is now, he's like kind of on a vengeful mission, and
Mhm.
also on like he's heartbroken, right? So like, I don't know, it just has this weird like green kind of nasty smoky effect, which is
Mhm.
cool looking. I don't mean nasty, I mean derogatory, but like,
But no, it's kind of
Um,
like a nasty green. Like,
yeah, right. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was brilliant to like give
Mm.
you the new mechanic at the time of an emotional, a poignant moment emotionally in the story.
And now you've got the sparkle. You've gained. To me, that reads as you've gained a piece of his power in some
Right.
capacity, whatever that is.
God damn
I'll let you focus.
it. God damn it. We're not going to get to the end of this because it's actually a little bit long.
Yeah, this
and
is.
we're already at.
I want to play this whole thing.
Yeah, go back.
Like-
Definitely go back and finish it because it's really cool. And
Yeah.
everybody who's in this in chat who didn't play this should go back and play it because I won't forget for a long time when Squishy Puff Dave first finished Aku and then he wrote into the Discord, "Damn it, character name, a murder most foul."
Yeah.
Yeah, the game's pretty hard. That's for sure. It's like it's not the easiest game, but I'm happy about that.
It's cool that it again it uses your fall, which is unique. It gives you an area like a platforming challenge, and you take your
Yeah.
time. I'm interested to see what other obstacles there are, and it looks
Yeah, there's like
you
a
might,
new room that you go into and various
Sure.
things.
It looks like you might thread some tight spaces while having to manage your fall and being flung
Yeah.
around. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a really all of these games were really cool. But I mean obviously I would say that Aku is probably the most like I guess what we would associate with game, right? Like the others are kind of they're text games, they're text adventure games, which are kind of their own version of game.
Yeah. But big props to Aku. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of work to
And
make
I
all of
really
that.
hope you keep rolling with that. If Aku is the first chapter of the story, like use the game jam to write some other chapters of what the story is and keep rolling and developing the mechanics, because this is
Yeah.
a winner.
And I could absolutely see the previous game submitted to the last jam and this one being in the same game, like 100%.
Oh, absolutely. That's just a dream sequence or something in it. But this seems to read as the opening. And what a couple weeks ago, like 2-3 weeks ago, we did Lisa on stream, which has a long opening segment before you get to the game mechanics.
Yeah.
And I could see a prologue to Aku, and then after the prologue, it starts with this piece, and it continues from there. But yeah,
right.
this is like something. It's so clearly something.
Yeah, right. Like cleaning up some of the animation, polishing some of the stuff, and like, I mean, which would obviously come from just developing and iterating on the game. But like, the gravity wells are a great idea. I think the storytelling is cool. Like, I liked the storytelling in the previous game, even though it was super duper spare. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you got this whole pile of assets and all of this cool stuff, and characters that people like. You know, it's just like just do it, just make it. You know,
Dylan and I are two people that are exposed to a lot of stories on a consistent basis that we're not interested in.
Yeah,
like
right.
all three of
Graduate
these,
school? Yeah.
right? Yeah, no, all three of these are like piercingly interesting, right?
Yeah, right,
Really,
definitely.
like waking us up, being like, I want to know more. I have all these questions, and like,
Right.
so like with Aku, Dylan, like it.
One sec.
You're
Bye-bye, Toaster. Have a good evening.
yes, goodbye.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for submitting. With Aku, like, what are your questions about this world? Right? What are the questions of what the character would do next? What are your questions about the world? Because I'm like, I'm seeing this same as like Sound of Spring, right? I'm seeing what's in front of me, and I'm like, I have lots of specific things I'd like to know more about, and I feel like that might be an interesting take to give feedback on.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would just because I mean this is a relatively self-contained narrative. Like you figure out everything that there is to be figured out in the narrative, but that's not to say that you couldn't do other things with it. You know what I mean? Where like, so Aku's inciting incident is Vaughn gets killed, right? That's a very classic inciting incident for a narrative. And just because he solves just because he solves the mystery within the game doesn't mean that he can't go on to continue his narrative. Like, I mean, Luke loses Obi-Wan Kenobi pretty early in Star Wars, which is somewhat of a second inciting incident, but but then Luke goes on to continue and go through his character arc, right?
It could lead and propel, Aku into pulling back the veil of the world, right? Why he was
Yeah.
killed, connecting it to something larger. Or
Well,
he could
yeah.
just find a new place, settle into it, and then that could get disrupted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and you already have like a bunch of, as you'll find out in the extended narrative of the
Mm-hmm.
story, where like Croydon and the people who came to Croydon and like all of these like weird cultural clashing and like there's the ending is is crazy. But
Yeah.
you could totally see where this game could go by when you finish it. It's really interesting in that way. So I'm gonna talk Pokemon Alpha Dave real quick. The mechanics
Yeah.
of the game is fairly simple. Do you see the narrative being compelling enough to support an extended story? Yeah, 100%. I think the narrative is absolutely 100% good enough. Especially because like, I mean, we literally did like the first 10 minutes of gameplay, and the gameplay actually gets more and more complex each time you go back and forth between a shrine and Croydon.
Yeah.
And I think it's relatively normal for games to grow in complexity over the course of
Especially a
platformers.
platformer, right? Good
Yeah.
platformers introduce a mechanic, build on it, build on it, build on it,
And then give you a situation where they take it away from you explicitly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
Yeah. Where they're like, they get you to rely on your air dash, and then they go into a room where air dashing doesn't work.
Yeah.
So Mischief says, I was thinking of the ending screen be Aku outside the mountain, not knowing what to do next, where to go, but there wasn't enough time, so it was a black screen with a bit of animation.
That's a great. Sorry, but that's a great place to pick up. Right. Say, I'm sure in your mind you're thinking of several different places where Aku goes next. Pick one. you know.
Right. Just pick one and go. Yeah, we're almost done.
And even those other places are the places Aku could go later. Like, you don't have to throw out those ideas when I say, like, just pick one.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can just end up really going anywhere. But the thing that I think is so compelling about, I mean, it's just Aku in general. I think Aku is just really compelling. I think he's a good protagonist. He's emotive. He's just strong. He's interesting.
That eye, the pupil changing, that super emotive, fantastic.
Yeah, it was really great. And what you'll see when you get to the end, Matt, is this really, it gets real weird, really weird. Like the occult stuff is very strange in it. And
yeah, when I was looking at it,
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, I'll be downloading Aku and I'll be playing it to completion without a doubt.
Yeah. That's the classic Metroidvania structure. Not that is a bad way to make a game. Yeah, absolutely, definitely. But yeah, so let's.
And if the world keeps expanding, right, for Aku, right, Metroidvania is a valid direction to take it.
Yeah. Well, and you also have like, I mean, it's built into his character. Like the description of Aku is like, Aku is a future priest, like, which I thought it literally meant he was a priest of the future, which I really liked. But
yeah.
But so he's going to become a priest, right? And Vaughn is the current priest, and he's the apprentice of the priest. And then so his master, his mentor, is murdered, and he goes on a quest to solve it. He solves it relatively quickly, but that doesn't matter. You just shift the timetable. Like,
well,
so he solves the murder, but there's another big thing that caused the murder, right?
Yeah. First of all, that's escalation. It connects to a larger situation. But then the biggest question I have for that character that has a life purpose, who's being trained, their mentor dies. So then the first question is, do I keep going with this or not? And if I keep going with this, how?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. So I got to take my dog on a poop walk. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna shout out to the new jam.
And I think
narrative game jams. Yeah, we'll be good. And we can talk about these games more in the Discord too. We have like unused chat channels that I feel like should be utilized a hell of a lot more than they are.
Yeah.
So Narrative Game Jam 3, sponsored by Southern Illinois University's College Liberal Arts Digital Humanities Lab. So if you go here, I'm gonna go ahead and just link that right in the chat. If you go there, submissions are open from April 30th to May 15th. So.
Oh. That's good head time, and that's a good amount of time.
Yeah, I set it as far away as I felt comfortable so that it would actually go up on the jam calendar, and then 20 seconds later it was on the jam calendar. So that was really cool. But so it starts in 22 days, and this is going to be open to everyone. So we really want more people to sign up because we want to talk
You guys
about.
have seen the way we talk about things. If you know anyone else interested, you know how casual this is.
Yeah.
Pass it around.
Yep. And I also said, I also noted in this one that we're open to teams. So if anybody wants to team up and make games, that's
Yeah,
fine.
that was something someone asked about at first for our first one.
Yeah.
I was like, we'll do it.
Yeah. So I just went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
And then just no charging for it. And I said works in progress, right? So
yeah.
So we just want you to be making it for, because this, I mean, the way we kind of do this is workshop, right? Like this is how we would workshop a short story in the graduate program.
Oh yeah.
A little more complimentary, I would say, because we like the stories generally more. But
And Pinkney's workshop last semester was quite complimentary, and it was all experimentational, and it was a great experience. Just encouraged to keep making more work.
Right. So yeah, the theme this time is the Outer Edge, and Mischief likes that theme. I'm glad you like that.
Yeah.
Theme.
Oh my god. Okay, so quick segue. I've been playing Outriders despite the server connection. I was talking with my buddy. I was like, yeah, no, I really like this like sci-fi, like Mass Effect Andromeda. It was like my favorite thing about it. He's like, what, Frontier Stories? And I'm like,
yeah, right.
Damn it.
Yeah, dude, Frontier Stories are the best. I love Frontier Stories.
Sci-fi Frontier Stories. If you want to do something, that's what Outer Edge is to me.
Yeah.
Of course, someone can take that literally in a totally different direction, but
yeah. So what I wrote about it was from space westerns to back alleys. This theme wants you to look at those who live on the outer edge of something, society, space, or maybe they are just an outsider at their dead-end job. Maybe they're an underrepresented minority or a part of a tribe whose history was long forgotten. The choice is yours, right?
Those are all good interpretations. I am gonna say, anyone who takes this like literally, like you're on the edge of an object or something,
right?
Bonus points.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be fun. But anyway, so thanks for coming, everybody, and talking to us.
Thank you for engaging, chat.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was a good conversation. You guys are the other third of this, you know.
Pokemon Alpha Dave says Andromeda wasn't bad either.
It was buggy, just all the same conflicts from the rest of the series.
Yeah, I mean, I just love Frontier shit. Anyway, that dog has got to take a dump, so I'm gonna leave the stream
later,
now.
everyone.
And thank you for coming.
See ya.
See you in the Discord.